I'm Jennifer Ferguson with Artistic Painting Studio. Oh, okay. I guess we have the camera backwards to start with. By the way, I'm Jennifer Ferguson with Artistic Painting Studio, and I'm here from Huntington Beach, California. I'm very excited to be here with Hometalk today, and I get to share with you my coffee table makeover. And like I said, I'm from Huntington Beach, so I would love for you guys to go ahead and chime in and tell me where you're from. And while you're doing that, I'm going to get started on what we're actually doing. So Andy is my cameraman, and she's going to come in here maybe a little closer and show you the top of my coffee table, which kind of already shows you that we did get a little started ahead of time. And the reason being is that we're using my texture medium, and with working with this, it takes a good hour plus for this product to dry. So there was no way we had enough time to do this and allow it to dry and actually finish the project. So even though I've already done it here on the coffee table, we're gonna show you complete step-by-step on everything that I've done. So we're gonna get going, and I'm gonna have Andy follow me over to a little section I got where I can demo this. So where is everybody tuning in from?
We have people from Mississippi,
Ooh.
Arkansas, Rockford, Illinois, all over.
Oh, sounds awesome. Welcome everybody. I'm glad that you're joining us. Okay, like I said, we're using my texture medium. And my texture medium is a plaster. It's something that I've actually created that works awesome with the rollers as far as troweling it on. It's easy to work with and manageable, and also the rollers go through it really easy. And also I'm working with a Japanese trowel, which is very comfortable to hold on to. It has a little bit of flexibility, and it's probably the most user-friendly trowel to start with. Being right-handed, I load the product onto the right-hand side of my trowel, and I'm working on a black sample board here so that you can really see the plaster, okay? And a little bit about troweling this on. When you're trying to trowel the product on to begin with, you keep a pretty shallow angle to the trowel so that you're actually moving it from here to the surface. And then you can kind of move it around. And I did this on black so you could see really well the material going on, and also see how thin that I'm actually applying it. When working with the rollers, we want to keep it basically as thin as we can to get the design to print into the medium, but it doesn't have to be on here very thick. So, not that I'm able to actually measure this thickness at the moment, but I always say somewhere between maybe a 1/16 of an inch to an 1/8 of an inch in thickness is what you're looking for, so that I don't have it on too heavy. Now, there is no really wrong way to do this. If you wanted a really deep, thick impression, you can definitely do it. You're just going to find that having that much texture onto a surface, you're also going to end up with a lot of product getting caught into the design of the roller, which means you just have to clean it more often. So no big deal. It kind of just depends on the look and the texture that you're wanting to create. I also will fair warn you that I make this look really, really easy, okay? I've been doing this for so many years that everybody tells me that the trowel is kind of like connected to my arm, okay? So basically, I just got a smooth surface. You can tell that it's really thin. And then this is the Crocodile pattern roller that we're going to start with. And just one quick thing, I always say, well, before you start, make sure it's spinning really well, because that way you're not going to get a slide or it's going to skip on you. And all I do is start at the top or the end of my project, and I'm going to say I'm watching this edge, okay? I'm not watching the roller as I'm rolling, but I'm watching the edge, and I'm going to try to keep it as straight going down as I can. And that way you're getting your first pass as straight as you can, and all your additional passes are going to follow that one. So when I come back up here and line up, I don't have to try to be perfect, or even overlap a little bit, but I'm watching that edge so that I'm trying to at least stay straight. And then let's get our third pass going through here. Now, I have to say, doesn't that look pretty easy? It's not that difficult. And worst case scenario, let's say you don't like something you did, you don't like the way the roller went through, you had too much in the area, too thin in the area. This is what you're gonna do, okay? You're just going to wipe it back out, and you can roll it right through again, okay? So no big deal. They're just simple to play with, and you don't have to feel like, you know, you've done something, you can't correct it. The other thing I want to show you guys is, I'm going to throw this in a bucket of water so it doesn't dry, but this is just a little scrubber brush that I use. And if I'm only place I have to clean it is like my utility sink or kitchen sink, then you can just kind of scrub out the material. The easiest way to clean them is your garden hose on a 5-gallon bucket in your yard and just squirt out the material. The quicker you get to it, the easier they clean up. And I'm just going to throw it in a bucket of water so it doesn't dry while we're doing some other stuff. So from here, we're going to go back and, oh, actually, I want to show you one more thing. Here's a sample that I already started. And unfortunately, I'm not sure how well you can see this one because I did basically a tone on tone. But the edges pop up. The roller will peak the material a little bit so you can see some of these higher peaks. And all I do is take about a 120 sandpaper, because it's going to be noisy, and sand that off so that is just smooth to my touch. I don't want to lose the actual design, but we want to get rid of those rough edges. So that's it for actually doing the roller. One other thing that I'm going to show you when I come back over here to the table is I wanted to make sure that I did get this lined up down the center of the table. So I actually started down here, and I centered the first one right through the middle and went all the way down, and then went on either side. So that way I kind of had the pattern distributed as evenly as I could. So Andy, is there any questions or anything that people have asked so far? Oh, by the way, Hometalk's doing a giveaway, so you want to stay tuned and find out what that's going to be later.
We have people checking in from the Philippines.
Wow, that's just incredible. It's amazing how this just reaches all kinds of different areas. Okay, so like I said, there's a lot going on here and a lot to show you. So the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to actually paint the entire top where the Crocodile roller went through, and I have the texture. And I'm using Modern Masters Smoke, which is a metallic paint. And anytime I get into a larger surface, I'll use a roller. I'm just going to use a foam roller, but I'm also going to still use my art brush and cut in the edges and try to be neat while doing this. And that's why I do like working. You'll notice I'm working with a pretty small art brush here. It's called an art wash brush, but they're fabulous to work with, and I can cut a pretty straight edge so I don't have to try to cut this in later or use tape all the time. And this is one of those colors by Modern Masters that is pretty opaque, so we should almost be able to go on with complete coverage and one pass, which will make this project even go faster. So as I'm getting the edges done, just going to go ahead and roll into here. Let's see how much coverage we can get quickly on this. So Andy, is there anybody asking any questions about the rollers so far and what we've done?
You know what? We had a question about what you used to make the texture. They wanted to know if it was a thin set.
It's actually my own brand. It's my brand name is Artsyville Embellishments, and it's the product called Texture Medium. It has just a nice medium body to it, but you know, there are a lot of products out there that you could definitely use to roll through. I always tell everybody, you know, even if you try drywall mud, you can at least try that and see if it works for the project that you're trying to do. You know, there's so many different texture mediums out there on the market. You know, maybe check what you have and see what works.
Okay, and then someone else asked if what kind of paint it is. They didn't quite catch the paint that we're using.
Oh, this is the Modern Masters metallic line, and the color is smoke. And then also, I'm not sure if it'll be up tonight, but it'll definitely be up tomorrow morning. Will be a full post on this project with a list of all the tools, supplies, and all the different paints and materials that I am using. So for anybody that's just tuning in, we are working on my coffee table makeover that has this wonderful crocodile roller pattern through it. And I'm turning the top smoke as I speak here, okay?
Can this be done in a wall, Jennifer?
It sure can. The roller can be used on just about any surface. We don't discriminate around here. If you've got something you want to try, definitely try it. They work great on furniture, cabinetry, wall finishes. You can actually even use it on fabric, canvas. We have customers doing them on just about everything.
And then you're going to post, again, all the products?
Yes, there will be a post on Hometalk as well as my blog site, which is Studio J Renee. So there'll be complete written tutorial on the entire project.
And the rollers?
The rollers, these are my rollers, and you can find them on my website, which is artisticpaintingstudio.com. And you guys, I apologize, I'm not looking at you, but I'm trying to get this painted as I work on this project. So I hope I'm not offending anybody by looking up as much as I'm not, okay? But yes, the rollers, there's over 30 different patterns to choose from on the rollers, so there are so many options, and they are just a blast to work with. I love it because just about anybody ever buys one lets me know when they get it that they have found a new love, and their new love is rollers. So this is coming along pretty fast here, and as you can see, I'm thinking I might be able to get away with just the one coat. And that's something that's really cool about Modern Masters too, that when you're looking at their metallic paints, they have this little code on the jar that will tell you if it's an opaque or a semi-opaque, and that kind of gives you an idea of how many coats you might have to actually put on. Sometimes I might choose one color over another just because of how many layers it might take me to get complete coverage.
You're very talented, Jennifer.
Thanks.
What's different about your rollers?
Well, they are quite unique. It's a rubber roller that has a pattern that's carved into it, and they pretty much are designed for what I call a negative process, not a positive. But you can use them for both. But what I'm talking about when I say negative is the fact that you are applying some medium to a surface first, whether that be paint, a texture, a glaze. Those are the main ones that we work with, but you're applying that to the surface like I troweled on the texture medium, and then you're rolling through it where you're creating an imprint into the medium. So that was what we've referred to as a negative. Doing a positive would be where you would take the roller and actually roll through wet paint and then apply the wet paint onto a surface. And you can do that if you're looking for random or small surface, but they're not really designed to be able to like go paint wallpaper. That would almost be impossible with them. So it looks like I'm pretty happy with what we've got going on here. And so I'm going to go ahead and, oh, this is actually looking pretty cool with just even that, okay? I'm going to go ahead and start with the next step on this. And I'm switching now to Debbie's Design Diary, DIY paints. Absolutely love this. This is a chalk paint. And I'm going to paint this on the rest of the table. And got a brush going here already. Let me get this dried off a little bit. Had it sitting in water. So any other questions?
Someone's asking if you started the project with thin set.
No, it's not thin set. This is, the texture was a product called Texture Medium, which you'll find on my website. But you can try other mediums that are like a joint compound. You can maybe try a thin set. I can't say I ever have. I mainly work with decorative mediums that are meant for like faux finishing and textures. So I'm normally working with something out of either the Artsyville line or Pro Seed possibly, or even Modern Masters. Okay, now I want to try to not mess up what I've already done. So I'm actually going to turn this way, switch places with me, Andy, because there's no way I can do this going the other direction. But I'm just using a blade here to shield, and that way I can get right up to that edge and hopefully have no bleed under and get my first coat of this is, I believe, let me don't quote wrong, it's Old 57. This is definitely one of my favorite colors by DIY Paints. And yeah, this is gonna work pretty good. So I'm just kind of moving that along. There's a little groove there that should hopefully keep me off of the smoke color while I get this edge painted.
Debbie says, nice job, Jen.
Thank you, Debbie. We love your paint. And then the other thing, as I'm brushing, I know everybody's probably...
Joined.
I'm sorry?
Herb just joined.
Oh, well, hello, Herb. How's Mr. Bling himself today? As I'm painting this on, I know you guys are probably cracking up that I really do like these tiny little brushes, but I'm not a fan of sanding. So the smoother I can actually paint something on, the happier I am. And while I'm painting this, you'll notice that I'm always fanning back in to what I've already done, which will not leave any stop and start marks in your work.
Karen loves that color.
It is a great color. But so you can see how I'm always going back into and kind of fanning, and I lift my brush up, and there's really no marks or identification of where I started and stopped here, which is a good thing because, like I said, I really not much on sanding. So the less I have to actually sand anything, the happier I am.
Jen, what color is that?
It's Old 57 by Debbie's Design Diary DIY Paints. You can definitely find her online, then possibly a retailer near you. We have it here at my location as well as down at San Clemente at La Casa Verde. And there's retailers all over the United States. Great product to work with.
Maybe you want to do a little recap for a couple of people that have just joined.
Yes, if you guys have just joined, I'm actually just working on my coffee table makeover. We started with a texture medium and created a crocodile pattern on the top, rolling through a texture. And we'll definitely give you guys a sneak peek of what that was so everybody can see that roller again. But there are decorative pattern rollers that give you so many different textures. Maybe when we have a second, even Andy can go take the camera over and show you some of them that we have hanging on the wall over there and give everybody a little sneak peek.
Okay.
As we're painting this. Okay.
Roll away to the rollers.
It's rolling to the rollers, guys, so that you can see more of these fabulous tools.
There's a couple here on the wall.
But there are 30 different patterns available in the rollers, so there's lots of different options. I was told somebody's going to find something that they're going to fall in love with, hopefully. They're really easy and fun to work with. There's just pretty much no surface that I don't think that you can use them on. We've done many, many projects, and they are so easy to use on furniture. You just don't have to worry about, you know, a large surface, and it just makes it manageable, especially when you're getting started with them and playing around with them. Definitely, you know, having something smaller, I think, gives you a little bit of confidence as you build up for that big wall.
Hey, Jen, someone's asking if this is acrylic paint.
No, this is a chalk paint. This is the DIY paint by Debbie's Design Diary, which is a chalk, mineral, and clay-based paint. Has no latex or acrylic in it. Is definitely, you know, eco-friendly. You don't have to worry about using it. Being in California, we're a very, very green state out here, so that's really cool to be working with. And Andy, I know, is trying to stay with me because I have walked around this table trying to get this top edge done. And I always tell all my students as I'm working with them, you know, I try to give you guys ideas, what works for me, and then you always have to figure out what works for you and adapt it to your style. You know, I use these crazy little art wash brushes because I said I don't like the sand, and they have a tendency to lay the paint down the smoothest for me. I'd rather be a little slower and have smooth paint and not have to sand. So that's kind of my thing. Any other questions as I keep going here?
No, someone ordered their croc roller though.
That's awesome. I have to say, I think the Crocodile roller is probably the most popular roller out of all 30 of them. But there is quite a few close runner-ups too. But the Crocodile seems to be able to go on anything and with just about any coloration and design.
Will they be able to watch this video again later?
Yes, this will definitely be on my page. It will be on Hometalk. So if you missed the beginning of it, you will be able to watch it from the very beginning later tonight, I believe, once we have actually finished the live feed. Then people can go back and start it again. So yeah, if you've missed anything, you want to watch the me using the roller. And then that's another thing, if you hit my YouTube channel, which is Artistic Painting Studio. It's a channel, it's under my business name, not my personal name. I have quite a few videos that I have done that are all posted on YouTube. And so they'll show you different rollers that I've worked with, different mediums that I've done, so that you can really get an idea of how to work with them. I think Andy's getting a roller out here so I can show you the roller again. See if anybody has any questions.
What was the primer that you used on the table?
Oh, somebody noticed I primed it. Yeah, I have to say I'm old school. I have been painting going on 28 years, and I'm a primer girl. I don't care what product I use. I don't care what anybody says about it's going to stick to everything. I am just a total firm believer in priming. So my favorite product is XIM, and they have a ton of different primers. So you want to pick a primer that is suited for your project. This one I wanted to use for adhesion. I feel that the previous owner of this project had a love affair with, what was the name of that stuff? She waxed everything, okay, I don't remember what, Pledge, okay, maybe Pledge, but it just seemed like no matter how much I sanded and cleaned this place, it just felt like there was still a little residue of somebody that had that love affair with Pledge, and I was just afraid of adhesion, so I went ahead and primed it, and I used the one by XIM that is for adhesion, and I'm telling you, that stuff will stick to plastic. It's wonderful. So looks like I've made it all the way around, and
We got some questions on the rollers. Where can we get the rollers? Can I see the roller? Can we show off the roller, please?
Yes, let's show off the roller. Okay, so the roller is wet right now, so I'm not going to put it over the top of the table. But this is the roller with the crocodile pattern. And the rollers you can get on my website, which is artisticpaintingstudio.com. Go on there, hit the shop now button, and then you'll go right to decorative rollers, and you'll find over 30 different patterns to choose from. They're a rubber roller. There's nothing I think you can do to beat them up too bad. If the roller's too big for your project, we have a chop saw here. I think Candy's going to go get the one we have cut. And oh, she's giving me a dry roller. Nice. Okay, I don't feel like I'm dripping here. You can use a chop saw and actually cut these in half. And actually I used a hacksaw on this one, which is probably, it was before I got my chop saw, so it's not the perfect job, but I made a little mini roller. So this is pretty cool that you can cut them into smaller shapes. When we've done these on projects on walls, sometimes you got that little area between a door jamb and a window molding, and you've got to cut the roller down so it'll actually fit. The other cool thing that you can do is even come back and cut them this way, and it's just a rubber material so that you could actually lay them flat, glue them to like a piece of wood, and create a stamp. That way you could actually stamp them anywhere you'd need them. So they're pretty versatile on what you can do, and if anybody else has any other questions, we'll cover as much as we can because they're such a cool tool to play with.
Someone's asking about the plaques on the wall.
The designs?
Yes.
Well, there's a bunch of rollers up there too. I do all kinds of decorative painting, so these are different finishes that I have taught and created, and you can find them on the website. I teach here at my studio, as well as I do a lot of teaching around the United States. So you might be able to find me at a location maybe close to you. Okay, I think we are ready to kind of move to the next section. And I'm going to need Andy's help here because we're going to try to gracefully turn this around without spilling anything. And here we go. So let's see, we're doing pretty good. We're still a little wet, I think. Not bad, okay, just a little wet there. So what I'm going to do is, this side I already had one coat on, and we can see we even got a little bit of bleed through. We're going to have to embrace that. But I'm going to go ahead and show you what's I call a dry brush technique. And let me get down here. Now, I'm hoping, Andy's going to have to probably move the camera a little bit, but I'm getting down here low, and yes, we find everything to sit on here. I'm just sitting on a bucket, okay? I'm now going to use, again, the Debbie's Design Diary DIY paint, and I'm using sea glass for some contrast, but I'm just going to dry brush this on, and this is this brush is just, it's like a stencil brush as far as the type of bristle, but it's domed shape and flat. So it makes a really good dry brush tool. So once I've loaded the paint on, then I actually offload it onto a paper towel so that the brush is pretty dry. And then I can just come in here and drag it over the paint that I've already put on. And all it's going to do is like pick up the texture and give us a little bit of contrast and interest. And I'm hoping you guys can see that really good. We've turned the light on the camera, so hopefully everybody's going to be able to see this really well. But how you can see that, you're going to get a little bit of a distressed look where it's coming in and highlighting all the texture. And even though I was trying to paint as smooth as possible, there's still always going to be a little bit of texture going on. Okay, this is the most awkward position ever, okay? I should be on the other side.
Can you use any cheap brush, Jen?
You know, let me show you another one that would work. This here is an old chip brush, and you can see how old it is. It's got half of its bristles missing, but it's stiff. So you want something that has a stiff bristle to it, because the stiffer, the better. When the bristles are too soft, it's hard to get a nice dry brushed effect. So this brush will just cover more area. So yes, this is a very, very cheap brush, okay? And even this dome stencil brush, I want to say these only run like $5 to $7. It's not an expensive brush either. You know, I try to find tools that are not too expensive, that you can do a lot of things with. And people will crack up at me because most people say this brush probably needed to be thrown away a long time ago. But it's still serving a purpose, so I'm not getting rid of it.
Someone's asking if this is a leather-topped table.
Well, now kind of looks like it is, but that is truly a texture product with the Crocodile roller through it, and it's been painted in metallic paint, smoke by Modern Masters. And we've still got more that we're going to be doing on that too. So hoping that dries pretty good.
Hi from Brazil.
Woo, exciting. Okay, so here, like I said, I've got some bleed through. The primer I used was an adhesion primer, not a stain blocking primer. And remember, I told you I was worried about what she had done to this. I think there's more pledge on this piece of furniture than it was ever in my entire house. So we're just going to embrace it. You know, sometimes when something like that happens, I just don't worry about it until it's easier just to embrace that little bit of imperfection and make it actually work for us. So it's going to just add more interest as far as I'm concerned. Because at this point, I sure don't want to put a stain blocker on it and start all over, okay?
So this is just a wood table, Jennifer?
Yeah, this is an old oak coffee table. This was a yard sale find that I could not resist. Okay, I got to stay off those sites because it's just so addicting to go out and buy everything that you find. Feel that you're going to eventually paint it, and then you end up with an entire warehouse full of furniture that you've planned to paint. So I try not to buy too much stuff, not unless I know that I'm really going to use it or I want it for myself. So this really is something that is going to go to my home, and we're going to use this. We haven't had a coffee table in our house for almost 4 years. I think it's time to have a coffee table, okay? So yes, I am like the shoe cobbler. Getting anything done for yourself always seems to take forever. So as this color dries, it's not going to be as strong as a contrast until I actually go in and seal it. So it kind of fades as it dries. But I think I'm kind of happy with that. And because I'm also going to be using another metallic on the top, I think I'm going to also dry brush with just a little bit of metallic on the edges here. Okay, I'm one who, you know, as things get done and I start creating, to me, they just evolve and happen. And I had a couple ideas in my mind of exactly what I wanted, but I want to be able to see the contrast. So I think adding maybe this teal might give me even a little bit more. So this is Modern Masters metallic paint again, and this color is teal.
You've inspired some people to redo some items in their house. A dresser.
Oh, that's awesome. So can I share our giveaway question. I know that Hometalk's doing a giveaway. Am I allowed to share what it is yet?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Okay, so I'm going a little bit stronger here with some of the teal, okay? And doing some more highlighting. So this will give us a little bit of bling, a little bit of metallic to pop on here since we've got the metallic top. So any other questions while we're doing this? I'm glad I got inspiration. Love being able to inspire somebody to do something. So now we're going to have a little two-tone action going here, actually 3 tones, because we've got the...
I think it's hard to see the color.
Is it hard to see?
Yeah.
Well, you know, this is really subtle, and being metallic sometimes
I'm
it
right
is.
over you.
She's right over me. Okay, promise I won't back into the camera. So it is subtle.
Share that giveaway, Jennifer.
Okay, so our giveaway, Hometalk is doing a giveaway, and it's going to be a tote bag, and we would love to know what you would possibly use the decorative rollers on in your home. And Hometalk is going to pick a winner towards the end of this segment of who's going to win that. So please share your ideas and what you think now that I've inspired you to use a decorative roller, what you might do. Okay, so I think I'm happy with this section. I'm starting to pull out all the detail with the dry brushing. And this is something I always feel is like a personal thing. You know, you kind of have to just
I'm gonna go tie right here.
play with it until you've got enough. And you know what, Andy?
Sorry.
Let's try turning the light off for just a second. Maybe the glare on the metallic is...
Let's see.
maybe, I don't know. Now it just feels like it went dark in here.
No.
No? No better? Okay, so turn that light back on. Okay, there we go.
Sorry about that.
We're just trying things. Sometimes, you know, when you get a glare from a metallic finish, you can't always see it as well. Okay, so I'm happy with this section here, and we're gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna do some dry brushing on the smoke, and hopefully we are dry enough. I'm just running my
Can you
hand.
do this on a laminate?
A laminate countertop, or
Just a laminate, it said.
yes, I would make sure, being on a laminate surface, that you have prepared that surface properly, meaning make sure that you've got something that's adhering to it, and you've got adhesion and a good substrate to work on. At that point, yes, I think you can work on any surface. So again, I'm dry brushing. I just got to really wipe this off because I dipped my brush into the container of paint. But I want to highlight the actual pattern here and just bring in a little bit more color. So this is going to kind of bring the texture alive and tie in the old 57 that I've already painted the sides with. And this is something I love to do. I love to kind of marry all my colors together if I can with my projects, so that I have, you know, a little bit from the side going on to the top, and just kind of bringing things together. Can you see that well, Andy?
Yeah, but you know what? I'm gonna try and turn off the light real fast. Someone said that they could see it better without the light on.
Oh, okay.
Let's try this. And someone asked if you're gonna keep the legs the way they are. They look yucky, they said.
Well, I just haven't finished painting them, and if I have time, I'm going to go paint the legs. But there are still a few more steps I want to show you guys, so it's like, okay, if I don't finish the legs out right now, we'll finish the legs later. I know, the legs are kind of ugly at the moment, sorry. So can people see that better? Oh, somebody chime in and tell Andy if you can see what I'm doing better with or without the light on. So that'll give us a good indication of the light.
People love it.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, guys. This is really turning out
Amazing.
cool.
Look, this is beautiful.
and it's fun. It's just nice to be able to create. You know, these are the times I just kind of get lost in my
Looks
work.
better without the light.
Looks better without the light. Okay.
All right.
No light, people.
No light.
We're going in the dark. Nothing like painting in the dark.
No, I love the legs.
Oh, there's one leg that's painted, okay? Yeah, the legs will get as much love and attention as the skirt got, so it'll just take me a little bit more time to get everything finished. And I'm probably not going to get the entire thing done today while we're here live, but I will be finishing up any details and posting the final pictures of the project on Hometalk tomorrow. And hopefully we're getting some good shots for you guys of all the different directions, and you can see what's going on here. And again, if you've just tuned in, I'm doing what's called a dry brush technique. I started off with Smoke by Modern Masters on the top of the table, and that is a dark gray, and I'm coming back and highlighting with teal, trying to bring in the old 57 kind of color, that bringing up to the top. And I love how the metallic looks great, metallic on metallic, so that's why I kind of stayed with that for the top. And it gives a little bit of shimmer. So are there any other questions?
Let me see. They're just trying to get a better look at this. So, see.
Hopefully
Why do
Andy's...
you put so much paint on the brush, Jen?
Why do I put so much on or take it all off? Well, it's a dry brush technique, so it is a repetitive load and offload application, because all I'm wanting to do is highlight the texture. So I have to load it on, load it off, and make sure that I'm dry enough, because I'm just highlighting. I'm not wanting to change the whole top color, okay? So very little paint to do this technique. Okay, Andy, I think I'm going to switch you places so I can get that other side and see what I'm doing. To make my way around here, see if I like the way it's looking. But when you are dry brushing, it's nice because it really does dry so fast that we can continue to move forward. And I'm not worried about if I get some of the metallic on top of the old 57. I'm okay with my colors kind of getting lost into the wrong area.
Looking good.
Thank you. It's actually really cool to get this project done. It's only been sitting around here for, I don't know, yeah, possibly 6 months. I always have great intentions, but I tend to fall short when it comes to getting things done for myself. So I was excited to actually be able to share this project with you guys live, and that way I get it done.
Again, can you tell us how you did this crocodile imprint on this table?
Yes, for those that have just joined, I will let you know that when we are completely done, you will be able to watch this video from the very beginning and see all the information that we have gone through. But just a quick brief of, we used my texture medium that was actually troweled on to the entire surface, and then used my decorative pattern roller, which was the crocodile print, and rolled through the wet texture. So you got to make sure whatever you're rolling through stays wet long enough that you can actually get the print to go through. And that's it. So I think we're looking pretty good here. So now I kind of just get to go back and critique my own work and decide if I want to have the teal any stronger in any one place. Because like I said, this is just kind of highlighting. It's going to give some interest and depth. Gives a whole lot more depth to the crocodile pattern, because now that we've highlighted the edges, it just creates more dimension.
Jen, when you're done with this, will this be waterproof?
Yes, because we're going to put on a wonderful top coat that will protect this entire finish so that my household will not be able to destroy it. We have a few young men living in my house, so we have to make sure everything has a lot of top coat. But yes, that'll definitely get done after all the steps are completed. And any type of paint I use, I don't care what paint it is, I'm always going to apply a top coat, especially if it's a piece of furniture or cabinetry. You need to protect your work. None of these paints are meant to be, you know, handled daily in and out. So they all are going to need a top coat. Okay. I think I'm done with that. That looks really cool. What do you guys think?
They're liking it.
Yeah.
Some people don't like the teal, but this is really cool.
Well, I'm not done yet, so don't judge me, okay? But the teal to me just brings out so much more depth. And you could have used maybe a gray on gray, but this teal's not that strong that I don't think it overpowers the gray underneath. Okay, so the next step that I want to show you guys is going to be, let's see which side that we're going to work on.
Will the top coat be glossy?
You know, I haven't thought that far, but the top coat is going to definitely have to be a shinier top coat for the top of it, and I might actually use something more matte on the rest of it, because if you use too low of a sheen over your metallics, you can actually start to kill the metallic a little bit, where you lose that beautiful shimmer. But sometimes a matte metallic is not a bad thing also. Okay, so I do want to show you guys how to glaze, and that is one of the next things I'm going to do, because the glaze is going to get stuck into all the nooks and crannies and crevices and make this look absolutely gorgeous. But before we glaze, that's one thing about working on a chalk paint. Chalk paints are so porous that if I tried to go directly over this, the glaze is just going to suck in, and I'm going to have no ability to move it and control it. And I want to be able to control the glaze and only put as much on as I want. So I'm going to use this product. It's called Final Coat. And I'm going to glove up just because the next couple steps I'm going to do are probably going to get a little bit messier for me.
Jen, can you use the glow-in-the-dark paint?
You know, whatever suits your fancy. I mean, if you want it glow-in-the-dark paint, you sure could. That could be kind of interesting. I don't really know if I want glow-in-the-dark in my house, but I'm not going to judge. So, Final Coat. Final Coat is a wipe-on varnish. And it's meant just to be wiped on. Write that down for me. So we're just meant to wipe it actually onto the surface, and I only use these staining pads with it because they're meant to be really, really thin coats that we're applying. So I just dip it over. I don't pour a ton of material into here. And because we've got a lot of nooks and crannies, I'm just going to wipe this on, and if I can't get it all the way in there, I might have to use my brush to get it down in. But you can see how deep this is actually going, and you might be able to see all the contrast and the colors that I've got to come in here. Oh, sorry. Andy and I are running into each other.
Trying to get a good shot.
Only 9 minutes?
Started at 4.
Uh-huh.
52.
Huh?
4:52.
Oh, okay. So, as I'm going here, you can see how easy. And I haven't had to take the brush to get down into there. This staining pad is really working pretty good at getting down into those nooks and crannies and getting me coverage. And then anytime I feel like I'm running out, I just tip that bottle back over onto that staining pad and just wipe that on, okay? So there we got full coverage. Got a phone call coming in. Let's see who that is. It's not my phone. So that only takes about a couple minutes to dry. So this is wonderful, and that's another reason I like it. And again, all these products, and I have actually used a couple different paints, a couple different brands, and now we're using Final Coat. So all this stuff will be listed. I promise you it'll be the full tools list and all the details of everything that we're doing. Let me put this aside. And let's see, I guess I gotta ask, do I have time to show everybody how to glaze this? Because I'm gonna go ahead and glaze the top if we can get that done. And while that's drying, I can glaze the top. So, again, here goes another product, okay? This is just a black glaze that's already a mixed up glaze. I'm gonna pour it out onto a palette, and that way we'll have some glaze to work with. And I love to use my chip brushes and cheesecloth. So I'm going to start this and glaze up the top. I'm going to try to just stay onto the Crocodile right now because I haven't finished everything else up. So I might have a little touch up later to do. But when you're glazing a surface, you just apply the glaze. The chip brushes are wonderful to apply it. I do try to keep it as neat as possible as I'm putting it on, but it's not mandatory. And once you have glazed up the top, okay, let me get a little section. And I got a feeling we might be running short. Now, does Hometalk need us to figure out who is the winner, or are they just going to do that, Andy? Because I want to know what everybody was planning on doing with the roller. What piece of furniture?
Hometalk is going to pick the winner, and they'll private message the winner.
Okay, so Hometalk is definitely going to pick a winner sometime tonight, I'm sure, and they will post that on Hometalk and get a hold of the winner directly. So that's awesome. And I really hope I have inspired you guys to...
Jennifer, we have a viewer that wants to know if you will be able to show that top coat on the teal.
Oh, the top coat that I just used?
Yeah, will you be using that on the teal?
Yes, I will definitely be using that on the teal. The Final Coat is wonderful. You can do layer after layer after layer. I'll pull the product right back out here so if you can see it. But Final Coat is just a wipe-on varnish. And like I said, I'm going to do a real detailed tutorial on this, talking about all the products, how to use them. And then, so once you've got the glaze on, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to wipe off the excess. Hopefully Andy is showing you this. It's going to make it darker and again, bring out even more depth because now we've got it kind of sitting down into some of the recessed areas.
Did you do this on a bar top?
Oh, of course. Gosh, go stalk my Facebook page. I actually have a group page called Foey Rollers. That's nothing more than just rollers. And there is a customer that did a bar top recently, and I think she even used the Crocodile pattern. It came out amazing. So yes, it can be done on a lot of surfaces. So you can still see the teal coming through. It creates a little bit more dimension and depth. And then this is also going to be done on the entire thing. So once I get all my coats done, I get all my dry brushing done, I seal the chalk paint with the Final Coat, then I'm actually going to come back and I'm going to glaze everything. So the complete finish of this will come alive later tonight and it'll get posted for you in the morning. Or maybe tonight, we'll see how far I get on this and get it all posted. But I thank you guys for joining me. I hope that I have learned some stuff. I hope I've inspired you to start your own project. And I think there's something I need to read if Andy will hand it to me. So be sure to hit the subscribe button at the end of this broadcast so you never ever miss another Home Talk Live. And be sure to tune in tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern, where we will be showing you how to paint holiday art on your windows. So make sure to tune in. That's going to be Kelly, and I'm sure it's going to be awesome. And again, thank you guys for joining me. This has been wonderful, and hope to see you again.